Hello team. In this video we're going to talk about contexts in which automation can be applied, and there are many. Actually, it might be hard to think of a situation where automation doesn't help. So many groups can make use of automation. For example, individual customers can make use of automation, startups and enterprise customers, developers can make use of automation, and cloud providers. So we're going to talk about each of these in turn. So automation for end users is usually provided as a service. For example, collaborative editing software like Microsoft Word and Google Docs, cloud storage like Dropbox, and email like Outlook and Gmail. So these services are usually provided as a web application or a desktop application that the user downloads. And the automation comes in that the user only cares about using the service. So details of how the service is operated or implemented is all hidden from the user, and this is all automated by the service provider. As an example, consider website creating services like Google Sites. So these services, they have to automate all of their backend. So they have to automate the deployment and configuration of web servers, reverse proxies, load balancers, databases, storage, and then updates to web components as web technologies advance. So all of these have to be automated on the back end so that users can create their websites and these websites can come up instantaneously. So there are many components running a website, like listed here, and this is a figure that we had in a previous slide showing a load balancer and then multiple servers sharing the load for a website. So we have to distribute the web servers, and then there's a database. So there are many things that happen on the back end when we're running a website, and the management of this infrastructure has to be automated. Another example is email. So running an email service has many components. For example, the email provider has to operate email servers like SMTP, IMAP, and POP servers. It has to integrate block lists to minimize spam and maybe run some anti-spam and anti-phishing software. It has to do a lot of data warehousing because these emails catalogs grow very large. For example, I have around 30 gigabytes of emails with Google. And of course, the provider needs to run web servers so that we can access our emails. And usually there's an indexing service that's also automated so that we can search in our emails. So all of this is automated for the user, and we only care about accessing our emails. Enterprises also benefit from automation, and they need automation to manage their infrastructure. One example is software deployment and updates. So enterprises need software to configure servers and virtual machines that they own. And they might need automation software to control the applications that they run on cloud resources. So if they use a public cloud, they will need some infrastructure to manage their VMs. And if they use platform as a service, then the platform will provide some of the automation for them. And the enterprise needs automation to manage devices that it provides to employees. For example, if an enterprise gives employees like a company laptop or a company phone, these devices need to be managed. And then because there are many of them, the enterprise needs automation to update and install and maintain these devices. Another form of automation that enterprises can take advantage of are computing frameworks like MapReduce, Spark, and Kubernetes. These frameworks allow enterprises to automate their computing so they can develop their solutions faster because of the framework, and the framework also allows them to automate it. For example, run a report periodically to get some information. So this frameworks eases automation of these computing tasks. And finally, automation is a must for cloud providers because, like for enterprises, cloud providers have infrastructure to manage, but on a much larger scale. So here we have an example of the different layers in which cloud services can be provided. And the cloud providers need automation to manage each of these layers. So they have physical infrastructure. You need automation to manage that. You have hypervisors in this virtualization layer, and you need automation for that. And if you provide a platform as a service, then automation is one of the main services that you're selling, and you need automation to manage the automation tools you sell customers. And similarly for application software, you also need automation to manage your application. So each of these layers here require automation to operate efficiently. And cloud providers need automation not only to manage their infrastructure, but also to handle customer demand. So if a customer comes along and requires a new VM, you need to create this VM instantaneously so that the user can start accessing it. So this handling of customer demands also needs to be automated